Hello, welcome to PCMag Live. I'm Dan Costa. He is Sascha Segan. We've got a great show for you today. We're going to break down the top tech news of the day, show you one cool thing from the lab, and even get to some of your reader questions. We got to kick it off with the big news of the day: Google buying Nest for a staggering $3.2 billion. That is 28.5 times their estimated revenue they make a Wi-Fi thermostat.
Yes. I mean, it's just crazy, the valuation of this company. 28.5 times revenue means that this is being bought either to completely transform the world, because Google sees a gigantic, globe-girdling, world-dominating business growing out of this, or Google is so threatened by Nest that they were willing to pay any price to avoid the competition getting them.
No.
Now,
I think it's the former.
Yeah,
I think they really do see a brave new world in which digital homes are connected and they're wired and they're offering services to consumers and they're collecting data on those consumers. And Tony Fadell wants to build that future, and Google has assured him that he can build that future with Google.
And I think one thing Google management has figured out is that for some reason within Google, they really can't build hardware. Okay, they tried to build some hardware with the Nexus Q. It did not work, but they've done pretty well at acquiring companies which build relatively quality hardware, like Motorola. And so they're trying to build a hardware competency within Google, not organically, but by acquiring what they see as some of the best hardware manufacturers in the business.
You can read our full review of the Nest on PCMag.com. I've got one in my home. I like it a lot. The Nest Protect review, which is their smoke detector, that's going to be going up online soon. Also, we've got a bit of a scoop. Turns out tomorrow Intel is going to be announcing that they're going to brand cloud services with Intel Inside, basically license the Intel Inside logo or something like it to cloud services so that they can basically brag about the fact that they're using their data warehouses are using Intel chips.
Yeah, if you remember, I mean, if you were even paying attention to technology 10, 15 years ago, you remember Intel Inside was on everything.
Still is?
Well, it's
Still
on everything that is...
I defy you to buy an Intel laptop without an Intel sticker on it.
But here's the thing. It's on everything that's a desktop or laptop. But desktops and laptops are flat. They're not a growth market. And Intel has been failing to break into mobile, and they're just seeing what can we put our logo on that's a growth market, what looks like the future and not the past. And they see their really strong position in servers, so they said, hey, we can brand these cloud services. We can make that look like the future of Intel.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea. I think it's going to make them some money. I think it's going to refresh the brand. Also in Detroit this week, the Detroit Auto Show is taking place. Our correspondent, Jamie Landino, is out there on the show floor checking out cool cars. One of the big trends this year, it seems like 4G LTE is being built into all the new models of cars. Why do cars need 4G LTE connections?
Well, they're going to have their own connections for navigation systems, for entertainment systems, for diagnostics.
But they don't need to be LTE speeds. I mean, they could be any kind of.
Well, LTE isn't just about speed, though. It's also about capacity and reliability, and for AT&T and Verizon, a lot of reach on those 700 megahertz airwaves into rural areas. So LTE is also the global standard right now. The hardware is becoming very commoditized. It's really what to use at the moment. And I think it's very interesting that AT&T also announced this sponsored data plan last week, where I think we're going to see car manufacturers essentially paying for the LTE in the cars and having it be just part of your car purchase. You're not going to pay a monthly fee to AT&T.
Yeah, and it creates that stickiness and that relationship with the customer that car manufacturers are so desperate for, because they can't just sell new cars every 4 years. They need to maintain that relationship and sell services along the way. The other thing I got to mention, this is really cool, the new Ford F-150. I don't know if you're into trucks. You into trucks?
Not so much of a truck guy.
Okay, but the cool thing about the Ford 150 is that they're using aluminum, these new aluminum panels, and the truck is 70 pounds lighter.
700 pounds lighter.
700 pounds lighter.
Yeah.
Typo in my notes. That is staggering to me. That is such a huge... That's such a huge step forward. It's going to mean so much for fuel economy.
Yeah, I mean, it's not just fuel economy, but this truck can now tow heavier things, because if you take the same engine on a truck that's 700 pounds lighter, you can add 700 pounds more to the thing behind it. Yeah. So making these trucks lighter while still keeping them, safe and sturdy is great for everybody.
Yeah, we've got a page up on PCMag.com. It's got all the news from the Detroit Auto Show. Jamie will be tweeting, taking pictures, all that, so check that out for sure. Now it's time for a reader question. Our reader question today comes from Gary, and Gary's asking via email. He wants to know whether he can keep his Windows XP machine on his home network but not connected to the internet. Gary's worried about XP no longer being supported by Microsoft. No more security updates means it could have some security vulnerabilities, but he still wants to use it and still be safe on his network. I think that shouldn't be a problem.
Yeah, now first of all, Gary, this will not be so much of a problem until April. We've heard from our security guys that the vulnerabilities are only going to really start cropping up then. But we talked to Samar Lin, who is our networking expert, and she said all you have to do is go into your Wi-Fi router settings, and any relatively recent Wi-Fi router should have something called MAC address filtering. You enter the MAC address from your XP machine's network settings into the MAC address filtering on your router, and you can turn off the internet access for that one device. It'll still be able to see and be seen by the other devices on your local area network, but it won't be able to get out to the internet, and the internet won't be able to get to it.
Problem solved. Now it's time for one cool thing. We test thousands of products here in our labs in New York City. Every day we take one thing off the shelf and show it to you live on air. Today that thing is the Ricoh 360-degree camera. This is a $400 camera that takes 360-degree panoramic shots. 400 seems like a lot of money for just panoramic shots.
Well, it's a very new device. It does something relatively unique, and as you can see, the design is just elegant and gorgeous.
Yeah.
This thing is called the Ricoh Theta. And what makes it unique is that you can take 360-degree panoramas with almost any camera, but you have to go like this for the horizontal, and then you have to kind of go like this for the vertical.
You got to paint in the scene.
Yeah, not so with the Theta. With the Theta, you hold it up, you press a button, you wait, you have a 360-degree panorama. Now, it has to pair with a smartphone. It works with a smartphone app, but it's so much simpler a panorama experience. Our photographer, Jim Fisher, was using it at CES. It really seems like a breakthrough.
You know what? I think real estate agents, if you want to you need to take a lot of panoramas, just want to walk into a room, capture it, move on to the next room, that could be a great device for them. Mm-hmm. But we've got to get through our testing. We're still testing it. We'll figure out how exactly it works. Put a rating up. That'll be on PCMag.com. That has been PCMag Live for today. I would invite you to join us tomorrow for a brand new show. Thanks for tuning in.